We begin with the biggest sports betting scandal that we have had thus far, especially involving a player in the National Basketball Association. You may remember his name from last year, John Tae Porter. His sentencing is coming up, folks. We're about to find out just how long a prison sentence Porter is going to get for admitting that he manipulated NBA games because of his player props that were available to be bet on. Peter Zegletti, who's a partner at a firm called Aird and Burles, who chairs a Toronto law firm's gaming group, said that although Porter has cooperated with U.S. authorities, he expects that the former NBA player will be severely punished. There is some speculation that this could be years, not months. So stay tuned as we get ready to find out exactly the precedent that will be set for sports athletes who try to manipulate games for sports betting improprieties. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons drafted Michael Pennix in the offseason, and we didn't think that we would see him at all in the regular season this year. But here we are, $180 million given to Kirk Cousins, and that's going to be sitting on the bench. Michael Pennix Jr. is set to make his first career start, and his first start since playing in college football a year ago. Get ready, folks, that the future is now. And by the way, Atlanta plays Washington in Week 17. They flexed that game out, so we could see the rookies, Jaden Daniels and Pennix, facing off against each other here coming up in a couple of weeks. So what the Falcons do with Cousins remains to be seen. You hear all this discussion about he can't be cut because of his salary and dead money. Folks, you know that that's not true. They'll figure it out. They figured out Russell Wilson. They figured out Brock Osweiler. They will figure out a way to dismiss Kirk Cousins from the Atlanta Falcons roster in the offseason. All right, the NBA Cup, it's official. Congratulations, the Milwaukee Bucks. They won it. What is it? Still not sure. 97-81, that's the final. So they celebrated last night on the court. Oklahoma City still has championship aspirations, but for now, Milwaukee is one of the hottest teams in the NBA, and Giannis certainly has played fantastic. 7-1 to win MVP over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. He talked about winning the game last night.
Is the best feeling ever. Just winning feels good. You know, playing big games feels good when you're able to come to the game and execute your game plan, and then the outcome is exactly what you want it to be. But it's not only about the game; it's about everything leading up to the game. The way you prep your body. You know, the anxious, the anxiety you feel that you want to get everything over with. Let's go straight to the game. You know, all those feelings leading up to the game is what makes the win even better. I'm so proud of the group. Everybody was extremely locked in. We came in, we were focused, played great basketball, and we were able to win this game. We had this goal as a team, and we accomplished it. We accomplished it. I'm very proud of everybody. I'm so happy for Dame that we got our first trophy together, and this is just the beginning. We got to keep on improving, keep on getting better, and we will be better.
Genuinely will never forget where I was when Milwaukee won the 2024 NBA Cup. Yeah. All right, let's get back to the NFL if we can. Patrick Mahomes, this guy just has injuries and plays through them. It looks like this could happen again. Even with this high ankle sprain, Mahomes is back on the practice field this week. A positive day for him, and basically went through a light practice. Is it possible that he could end up playing on Saturday? According to Mahomes, it seems possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's done good with the treatment and the work that we've gotten in. I mean, obviously it's a short amount of time, but I thought we had a good day yesterday, and we had good work after the game as well.
Obviously, it's a shorter week than normal. Is it your intention to try and push to play on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to. That's the reason you play this game is to push to play. So I'll get to work in practice and try to push it to see where I can get to. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to put our team in a bad position. So if I feel like I can play and go out there and win a football game, I'll play. And if I don't feel like that's the best case scenario, I'll let guys like Carson play. I mean, he's a guy that's won in this league as well. So it's just about pushing it this week, seeing where I'm at, and making the best decision then.
I just want Mahomes to play on Christmas Day while I'm working here at SportsGrid. I don't want to be calling the Carson Wentz game here on the show. All right, Arizona is giving Budda Baker a contract extension, 3 years, $54 million, one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. Also, an official quarterback change in Tennessee. Will Levis is out. Mason Rudolph looks like he is going to start Week 16. And also, the Browns made a quarterback change again. So add this player's name to the back of that long Browns jersey. Dorian Thompson-Robinson starts at quarterback for the Bengals. The Jameis Winston era has come and gone. Meanwhile, the Pac-12 era came and went, and a lot of infighting going on with a lot of teams. Colorado State and Utah State have now filed a lawsuit saying that the Mountain West is engaging in an extraordinary and unauthorized action to penalize the 5 schools that are leaving the conference of the Pac-12. This includes Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Colorado State, and Utah State. As they announced in September, they're joining the Pac-12 in 2026. There's actually a release that was set out as well in a statement saying that this flouting of the bylaws and Colorado law is not new. It's part of the Mountain West's ongoing efforts to restrict its members' ability to freely explore best options in the marketplace for their student athletes and penalize certain members for announcing their intent to withdraw from the conference. We see players leaving all the time. It shouldn't surprise you to see schools changing conferences as well. All right, the Frisco Bowl. Memphis opened up as a 4-point favorite against West Virginia. It went to like 4.5, 5.5. It went very high by the end. So those of you who got in and you took Memphis early, you won. Otherwise, you may have lost or pushed in this one. 42-37, very close, tight game, went right down to the end. Michael Vick, former NFL quarterback, is going to take the head coaching gig at Norfolk State. So congratulations to him. New AP Coach of the Year is Indiana's Curt Cignetti. They're getting ready for that big matchup against Notre Dame coming up on Friday night. And by the way, SMU is getting ready for the college football playoff as well. Rhett Lashley, in a preview for the upcoming game, was discussing the transfer portal and basically said that the adults are letting down the kids.
I mean, it's terrible. I feel so awful for our kids and kids around the country. You know, we talk about making a system that is all great for them, but we haven't. I mean, that's part of your job as adults, is to do what's best for young people, not what they want necessarily. And they don't want this. Yes, they want the ability to transfer and go where they want to go if they don't like their situation. Yes, they want the ability to make money on their name, image, and likeness. Neither one of those are bad things. There's no other sport at all that has free agency in the season. It's sad. It's terrible. You hear the story about their backup quarterback saying, "I don't have a choice." That's wrong. That's unacceptable. That's not okay. He shouldn't have to make that decision. Preston here is doing the same thing. Now, he has chosen to stay with us, and we're working with him, but it's still a juggling act for him. Oh, and let's not forget they're in finals right now. So, yeah, the real easy thing is you don't have a transfer portal in December. That's the real easy answer, and it solves all the problems. Like, why in the world would we put kids in a position where they got to decide, do I transfer or play in the playoff? Do I transfer or play in my bowl game?
One of the more reasonable explanations I've heard, by the way, from Coach Lashley. All right, tonight we got the Boca Raton Bowl right up the street from me. James Madison taking on Western Kentucky. JMU 7.5-point favorites, total of 50.5. And UNLV now up to 2.5-point favorites tonight in the LA Bowl. That's 9 o'clock Eastern. It's Cal and UNLV. Also a trade in Major League Baseball yesterday. Cody Bellinger is now leaving the Cubs. He will take over in the outfield, or maybe even at first base for the New York Yankees. They make a deal there. Cody Poteet goes in return, and certainly some reconfiguring for the Cubs going on. Welcome back to Newswire here on SportsGrid. We got Pat Evans with us from Legal Sports Report. By the way, everything we discuss here on the show, you can read over at LegalSportsReport.com. Let's bring Pat in. Pat, happy holidays to you. Thanks once again for appearing on Newswire once again. And I know the story we've talked about previously is now coming to light a little bit. This congressional hearing that is going on, a lot of scrutiny going on, how to make sports betting better for people to avoid some of these controversies with players, athletes, everything else, learning a lot more about it. Thus far, what have you learned? What's happened?
Yeah, so yesterday was the first congressional hearing about sports betting at a U.S. federal level. It was the Senate Judiciary Committee, their last meeting of the year, their last meeting with a Democratic chair. So next year it's going to switch, of course, because the majority of the Senate will switch. So you'll have a Republican. So that kind of plays into a little bit of what we're going to talk about here in a second. What's interesting about this is the panel was largely made up of problem gambling kind of people, responsible gambling. There was also Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, and David Rebuck, who's probably the most famous, most well-known, well-regarded regulator. He's a former director of the New Jersey Department on Gaming. And there were 10 senators sitting there talking about it. They're taking them, everybody was asking questions, kind of figuring out where they need to work. And of course, Charlie Baker, who has been championing a ban on collegiate prop bets, he used his platform to further push that. That seemed like certainly kind of the biggest topic of discussion and most interest of the politicians. Understanding that does lead to athlete harassment and can be problematic and things like that. They certainly do want to focus kind of on consumer protections and figure out where that goes. David Rebuck was the lone kind of pro sports betting voice, I would say, in a lot of ways. He was trying to make the point of, hey, the states are doing this. The state regulators and legislators have the same concerns you do. They're working on it. This should be a state issue, not a national issue. From there, we kind of got to see where it goes. Dick Durbin, the chair, said, this is only the beginning. This is not the end. It was a very short committee hearing, way shorter than I expected yesterday, probably a little under 2 hours. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Again, this was a Democratic-led portion of it because of the majority at the moment, which Richard Blumenthal is on there. He's one of the authors of the Safe Bet Act, which is a pretty expansive consumer protection and advertising and a lot of different components to that bill. That will unlikely be able to move with a Republican-controlled Senate. So things are going to shift a lot. Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina had a lot of interesting questions. He's a Republican and will probably continue this discussion into next year. He compared it to the marijuana industry and the state-by-state kind of regulations and how we need to somehow come up with some sort of federal regulation, which again goes against Rebuck's suggestions that the states have it and the states will continue to do a good job on it. So it's it was very interesting. Also of note, because of Charlie Baker's presence there were two Republican senators, John Kennedy and Josh Hawley from Missouri. They decided to make it about why the NCAA allows trans athletes to compete, which does not seem at all on topic with sports betting. So that was, they spent their 5 minutes of questioning on that topic. So definitely went off the rails a couple of times. But yeah, again, this is not going anywhere. It will continue to be in the federal spotlight for at least a couple months, probably a couple of years until something happens. Who knows if the bipartisan, issue can come together and come up with any sort of solution to what they want. But anyway, again, the spotlight's on it and it will remain.
All right. Well, we'll read more about it over at Legal Sports Report as this progresses. Now, let's get to the very latest in Louisiana. No stranger to betting. Maybe going online here for potential casino gaming in Louisiana. How quickly can this get done, Pat? What are the odds on that?
I'm not quite sure. I think the odds are maybe a little better than some people are putting on to happen to get done in 2025. Earlier this year, they passed a Senate study bill to say, hey, let's look at this. Let's dig into this and see what this could mean for the state. And then, last week there was a nice hearing about it. A lot of industry people sat down and testified to the Senate about, what it can be, what it could do for the state. There were a couple senators who said, hey, we're missing out on a huge chunk of revenue. I think it was they cited 4.6 billion in illegal wagers every year online. So that could be a huge chunk to capture. And to your point, they have a vibrant casino, brick and mortar casino ecosystem. And that generally bodes well for, states like Pennsylvania and Michigan here that we've had iCasino now for a couple of years. And, of course, there were the negatives, just like we saw in Maryland earlier this year. Cordish companies came out and said, we really don't want this. We will participate if it does legalize, but we think it's a net negative for the brick and mortar industry, which, of course, concerns some of the legislators in Louisiana. So that's there. Of course, you had lots of problem gambling people coming out. And Chris Hebert, the director of the Louisiana Gaming Commission, was like, yeah, this is an issue of regulation or unregulation, but we realize it is an issue to put casinos easily accessible in people's pockets. And so that is something that, even the top regulator in the state is thinking about.
Right.
It's going to be, again, I wouldn't put it as a will pass, but they'll definitely be talking about it. They will definitely kind of consider the pluses and negatives. We'll probably be talking about this quite a bit next year, Craig.
Okay.
Will it pass? I don't know. I'll put it at like 40-60 right at the moment.
All right. Are the odds available, by the way, over at LegalSportsReport.com? Can we bet on? I'm just kidding.
No.
Being facetious. No, definitely not. All right. So finally, let's get to this. Choctaw Casino. I'm very familiar with Choctaw Casino, by the way, because why, Craig? Well, the old stadium in Texas, okay, in Arlington, they have the new ballpark where the Rangers play. The old one is now called Choctaw Stadium because I was just there for the All-Star game. That's where they had their fan fest and everything else. This is a tribe that has a very big footprint on a lot of gaming things in both Oklahoma and Texas. So I found this really intriguing to think, Pat, that there's a possibility that this tribe could have the biggest footprint as far as getting sports betting going in either state. Is that the case?
I mean, yeah, and that is what they are trying to aim to be. Of course, the Choctaw Nation is the third largest Indian tribe in the country, so they've got a huge footprint as it is. They have a casino that's 90 miles north of Dallas, which kind of, that's a pretty close proximity for somebody who's in Dallas and wants to get to gambling, which you don't have in Texas yet. So that's a huge thing on its own. And that helps explain why they've taken such drastic measures in partnerships, to your point, of that stadium. They've got partnerships with the Stars, Mavericks, Texas Rangers, and they just partnered with the Dallas Open, a tennis tournament that is one of the most elite tournaments now. I think it's just to kind of double down, make sure that Texans know what they are for when, maybe they do want to go up north and gamble a little bit. But also of note, the Choctaw Nation has partnered with Kambi to be the back end of a sports betting platform, and they have aspirations to be a big player in sports betting. What does that mean nationally? I'm not sure. But it's certainly setting up for if Oklahoma legalizes and to be a major player in Oklahoma. And of course, in Texas, which, as we've talked about a lot recently, a study has recently said that could be the biggest handle, market that has the biggest handle in the U.S. So there's lots of, even if DraftKings and FanDuel do their big push in there and maintain their the status as the top two, a powerful partnership with a lot of local teams and a big power behind it in that tribe could make, some needles move.
All right. Well, Pat, always great catching up with you. Will I see you before the holidays next week? Are you on Monday?
Yeah, you'll see me Monday.
Okay. Then I'll wish you a happy holidays next week. I could say it now and I'll double down on it next week, Pat. Thanks again for coming on.
Same to you, Craig. Yeah, you too.
Pat Evans with us from Legal Sports Report.